Good afternoon and welcome to Bristol Chapter and Rhode Island Independence Chapter Annual Battle of Rhode Island event. I'm the Bristol Chapter Vice Regent and Program Chair and Honorary State Regent of Rhode Island. Our Bristol Chapter bylaws commemorates the Battle of Rhode Island every year on August 29th and is always our first meeting of our calendar year. Just like everything, this year will be a little different. We canceled this meeting and others as well since March because we're not comfortable meeting in person. However, it is important that we continue our mission statement of historic preservation, education, and patriotism. In the past, we would normally invite the community and have interesting guest speakers and sometimes tour Fort Butts in Portsmouth, where the historic battle took place. Ben has some footage of where the battle took place, and he's going to share it with us. Although the Battle of Rhode Island was considered a loss as Rhode Island surrendered Newport, we prevented mercenary soldiers from reaching the mainland, which was the goal to eventually take Boston. Earlier on, George Washington wrote a letter to Rhode Island expressing dismay that Rhode Island wasn't recruiting enough soldiers, which was responded to with people recruiting in Massachusetts, which is a fun story in and of itself. But for this battle, there was no one available as they were called to other areas. So many soldiers and patriots freed their slaves, who included African and Native Americans of the Narragansett tribe, and created the first Black regiment to defend the mainland of Rhode Island. I'm sorry we can't meet in person, but in the words of the person who is helping me put this together to continue our mission statement, this is not a substitution, it's a celebration. And I would like to welcome Bristol Chapter Regent Lynn Lucky and Rhode Island Independence Chapter Diamond Bush Regent. Madam Chapter Regent Lynn, will you please open our chapter meeting on this 242nd anniversary of the historic Battle of Rhode Island?
By the virtue of the authority vested in me as Regent of the Bristol Chapter of the National Society Daughters of the Revolution, I now declare this meeting in session.
Thank you, Lynn. Madam Chapter Regent Diamond, will you please bring greetings from Rhode Island Independence Chapter?
Hello from Rhode Island Independence Chapter. We're grateful that Bristol Chapter has extended the invitation to us to co-host this great event and keep it going.
Thank you. Now, myself, Diamond, and Lynn will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please join us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, and justice for all. Thank you. I didn't rehearse that, so we're doing the best we can here. Now, Diamond, will you please bring the greetings from Rhode Island State Society written by State Vice Regent Brenda Machado?
Yes. Greetings, Bristol Chapter and Rhode Island Independence Chapter daughters. I hope you are well and enjoying the summer sunshine. I understand today's meeting marks the 242nd anniversary of the Battle of Rhode Island, and although we didn't win this particular battle, in fact, we gave up Aquidneck Island to the British, this battle was important nonetheless. The 1st Rhode Island Regiment participated in the Battle of Rhode Island, a regiment made up of African Americans, Native Americans, and white colonists, standing side by side for the betterment of our nation. Looking back on the history of this day, may we say a prayer that again, people of all colors will stand side by side for this great nation. That we can finally win our own battle against nationwide racism and discrimination. Enjoy your meeting, ladies. Remember those who fought for our independence. Be proud to call yourselves American. Best regards, stay well. Brenda Machado, Rhode Island DAR State Vice Regent.
Thank you for reading that. Greetings from Bristol Chapter member and Honorary State Regent Sally Small was dictated to me over the phone. Sally was not up to sending a video or writing anything, but she had a beautiful message for us. Dear Bristol Chapter members, I have missed joining you at meetings, but I understand why we can't. I'm so glad that you're hosting our annual Battle of Rhode Island meeting. This has always been one of our most important events throughout the year. I enjoyed working on the Patriot Index project, which included many of the patriots from the Battle of Rhode Island. I will be watching the event and hope that we can be together soon. Sincerely, Sally Small, past chapter regent of Bristol chapter, honorary state regent of Rhode Island. And now greetings from Bristol chapter member and honorary state regent June Smith will be brought via video, pre-recorded video.
Hello, this is June Smith. Greetings from my home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is such a pleasure and privilege to be representing not only the GAR and the GAR friends in the world, but the principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which our American ancestors sacrificed their lives and fortunes. The banner which I wear, I've always thought it was a great privilege to wear it, and it is, because it stands for what we stand for, which is not just a club, but the principles for which we live.
Thank you for sending greetings. I know it's not easy now with COVID to have someone do the recording for you, and I appreciate that. And also, I love you, Grandma. I would like to invite the state president of the Sons of the American Revolution of Rhode Island, Ron Barnes, to bring greetings.
Greetings, everyone, from historic Patuxent Village, where the first blow for freedom, the burning of the HMS Gaspee, occurred. I'd like to thank the Bristol and Independence chapters today for inviting me to bring greetings on behalf of our now close to 200 members here in Rhode Island. And we're very proud and appreciative that you take the time out every year to celebrate, which this year is the 242nd anniversary of the Battle of Rhode Island. And thank you. I heard you mention a Patriot Index project. I'm sitting here doing genealogy during a lot of this COVID. And the DAR Patriot Ancestor Index database has been certainly invaluable to me. So again, on behalf of our 200 members here in Rhode Island, thank you very much, and I hope you have a great meeting today.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
And we have a special guest joining us. Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee is here to bring greetings from the state of Rhode Island.
Nice.
Hi,
Jacqueline, thank you so much for the invite to be here today. These Zoom calls bring a lot of us together in a different way, and I know that you've been celebrating this Battle of Rhode Island for almost 30 years. I think it's 30 years now that I was reading, and again, it's a important. Our history is very important, and so for you to be recognizing the Battle of Rhode Island and back during our Revolutionary War, where we fought for our independence, and we were founded on these principles that today we're continuing to try to perfect. So I know that in the backdrop of the battle, I know that we had the first African American, fighting brigade with that, the 1 Rhode Island regiment, and they bravely fought off, as I was reading earlier last night about a German force that they kept on pushing back and fought for the freedom that we fight for today. And so I think that on the backdrop of that, I know you got Charles is going to be speaking later today, and you got a wonderful person that's going to be able to speak to the issue is the fact that as we were fighting and the African American soldiers were fighting for our freedom at the same time in Newport. Charles will tell you that we had slaves that were actually in Newport at the time. So I think that Our history is very important. I think that the as was spoken earlier was that, our independence and the way that we're founded, we're proud of that. We're proud of the people who fought in Rhode Island and partnered in with at the time with French and Lafayette and others on that battle, but also on the backdrop of it, today in the context of what's going on today, it's another reason to really say, hey, the African American community, the Black community were with us then. We need to be with them now in a way that it really shows that we know that everybody's part of this country, part of the state. I've always said that there's 39 cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island, and each and every community matters, and the communities that make up those communities matters. So it was true back in the Revolutionary War, where we were one of the first 13 colonies, and we certainly shot the first salvo with the Gaspee, but today it's true today too. So thank you so much for everybody that has been consistently, working on this event, and thank you for the invitation for being here today. And on behalf of the state of Rhode Island, we thank your leadership. We're very grateful for all your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Before you leave, I know that Charles would want to say hi. I know you're both friends, and I have enjoyed spending time with him as well. And I have to say, I personally am so impressed by the amount of community involvement that you've been doing. I've been having the opportunity to watch your community videos, and thank you for everything you're doing. Just, Ben, can you bring Charles on really fast? Because I know he would want to say hi.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Charles, how you doing, buddy?
I must say,
Yeah, I left Charles. I left the history to you, but I think the backdrop of what you work on, with the medallion program, and then the fact that, this battle that is being remembered, the African Americans were very much involved in that, right? So I think that I can't wait to listen to your historical point of view on this. But thank you for your leadership, and Jacqueline, thank you so much for recognizing the efforts that we're trying to make during this. We got to keep our health as the number one priority, but there are other things that are important, just like this event that you're putting on virtually today.
Thank you,
Charles.
Dan. Thank you for joining us. And as always, don't stop being as active in the community as you are, because I'm just so impressed to have leadership like you.
Well, we're going to keep on plugging along for everybody, and listen in this Tuesday. We'll have something on business, and then on Wednesday we're going to be talking to a couple. I brought a couple of the young people that are in the advocacy right now on the racial issues. I introduced a couple of members to Charles, and we're going to have a whole new subset, Charles, on our broadcast on Wednesday night with a handful of young activists that are of color, kids of color, that really are looking to kind of have their voices be heard, and we got to do everything we can to provide that opportunity. So, Charles, thank you very much for being here today, and Jacqueline, we'll keep in touch. Please call our office. Anything that we can help out any of the people that are on this program today that they feel as though we can help them during the COVID, or even beyond that. Our office wants to be this, this information center that we can help people all as much as we possibly can. So thanks.
Thanks, Dan. I remember you bringing people from Providence, some young Black activists from Providence to Newport to be able to celebrate this first event with the celebration of a medallion placed at Bowen's Wharf, a location where slaves were actually brought into Rhode Island in the beginning of this development of the state of Rhode Island through the use of slave labor. So it was very good and very important. And in the video we have produced by ABC 10, was NBC rather. These guys really expressed their thanks for being there, and I thank you for inviting them.
Yeah, we're going to keep that conversation going, Charles. We'll certainly be circling back with you, because I've made a commitment for the next 2.5 years that I'm Lieutenant Governor, that we are going to keep this discussion alive in a positive way. And that's what impresses me so much about yourself is, I mean, the experience that you have and the background you have in music and other things like that. And then the work that you're doing right now on the medallions. You're going to keep this conversation along, and I'm just going to kind of go along for the ride, but I'm going to be there with you.
Well, that's it's nice not to be there alone. At least when they throw rocks, I'll throw rocks at both of us, right?
Hey, you bring a little shield, you'll be all set. It's worth the fight, just like what Jacqueline and the crew's doing here today, keeping this history alive. And isn't it appropriate right now, Charles, that the work that you're doing right on the Aquidneck Island, and then here's this Battle of Rhode Island, fought in the Newport area along with Middletown and Bristol areas. It included that very first core group of African Americans that fought for our independence.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, and I don't think you could have done a better an introduction for our friend Charles. Ben, would you be able to play some of that video that we can share about the medallion project from the news station?
6 visitors in Newport can now learn more about Rhode Island's role in the slave trade. Today, a dedication was held for a slave history medallion.
Now, this is the second one. The first one has been dedicated in Portsmouth. NBC 10's Sam Reed has more on the history in the making.
Smack dab in the center of Newport, a lot of people have a lot of stories about visiting Bowen's Wharf, but one story in particular is now being shared.
We want to tell these stories so that people in the future can know our true history.
The nonprofit organization Rhode Island Slave History Medallions has installed a medallion.
The unvarnished truth that has been hidden from the public for quite some time.
Its purpose is to educate the public passing through that Newport, Bowen's Wharf in particular, has ties to slavery from the 18th century.
If you think clearly that these things are not happening or have not existed within our own backyards and in our own neighborhoods, they definitely do.
Now that history is on display.
I knew that slavery existed in Newport, but I didn't know the specific logistics.
With a click of your phone camera held up to the medallion, a website will appear. In it is years of research and information about the area you're standing in.
When you're able to easily access that information, I think it's world changing.
Rum was made at distilleries in Newport, was put on boats in Bowen's Wharf, and traded in Africa for slaves. While the slave-related history is not something anyone is proud of, some say speaking about the past will make for a better future.
We're just excited to actually finally get the real truth. So it means a lot to me to be here on the day that it gets appreciated.
The timing couldn't be better relative to the whole community and our position in it. I mean, it's just a great thing to be part of.
Local leaders say they're hopeful these medallions will be put up at 23 additional towns and cities with connections to slave-related history. In Newport, Sam Reed, NBC 10 News.
Well, that was fabulous. I want to thank NBC 10 for that. And Sam Reed, she's just a really phenomenal reporter.
Yeah, that was great. And I saw that, but I already knew about your project. So I was really excited that you're getting some recognition for your tireless work. I know that you research, you find funding, and that process takes some time. How long would you say it takes to get one of these medallions placed?
Well, we've been working at this for the last 4 years, and we were fortunate enough to first work with the state and place a medallion at Patriots Park. That took some doing because it is the state, but we now have state recognition. We were recognized just this September or this July, or it was March, by the House in a resolution to make Rhode Island slave history a statewide education program. That's the first medallion that was placed at Patriots Park. And you go there and you scan it, and all the history about Patriots Park and the people that fought there comes up on your phone.
That's so great. I just want to add that normally for chapter meetings, we have someone write a speech, and And for this purpose, we all opted to do something more conversational because we are, in quarantine and we get talked at a lot. So we wanted to have more of an interactive dynamic like we would at a regular chapter meeting. I know Diamond also has some questions.
Yeah, so it's great that the first medallion was placed at Patriots Park to honor these Revolutionary War patriots. I was wondering how you first became interested in the Revolutionary War history.
Well, since the age of like 5 years old, I was very fortunate that my mother and my two aunts kind of sat me down and let me know that I could be proud of myself during a time when there were no images of Black people. We're talking about in the 50s and the 60s, and there was segregation. But they let me know about a person called Newport Gardner, who was a slave at 14 years old. He was brought from, I think it's Ghana, by cable, and he got a chance to learn and express himself as a human being because they brought him into his home at a young age, and he became an abolitionist. He learned to read and write, and he became a composer, and eventually bought his freedom. And that was such a fabulous story to me that it really, really affected how I felt. And it's interesting that he also affected me in another way, where he talked about how being a slave, and after he had gotten his freedom and all the work that he'd done, even to the point of becoming a minister, he felt that you could never get a fair shake here in the United States. And so he took a group of people back to Africa, and where he died. I've been to Africa. It's the homeland, or the motherland, as it's called. And once you put your feet on that land and feel that experience, it changes you. As an African American, it changes you. So when I've come back to the United States, I've just been involved in nothing but sharing our culture, because that's where I first saw it. I heard the drums of our hearts that it originated there and was brought to this country. So I've been blessed to be able to share that with the public.
Yeah, that's great. I had the opportunity to go to Africa this past December as well. So coming back really reinvigorated to share the culture. So,
oh, nice. Some experience, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm inviting anyone who has any questions for Charles to post them in the comments on YouTube or my personal Facebook page, because Charles really likes more of the dynamic part of being a presenter. And I have a quick question for you as well, Charles. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like to be a reenactor for the Battle of Rhode Island?
Oh, well, now that was a whole other experience, because first of all, the first thing I did, and if Ben will show a picture, to get the uniform it's not all that comfortable a uniform, but yeah, there I am when I first got my uniform, and I was just so proud. It took me back in time. I was actually a Revolutionary War soldier, with all of that meant, and I had comrades that I marched with, and I learned. That the gun that you hold is 30 pounds. That thing is huge. Imagine if you were a slave and you just been, pitching hay, and all of a sudden somebody comes up to you and gives you this rifle and this uniform and says, okay, I want you to stand in a line like your fellow officers there and shoot at people, and they're going to shoot back, and you're marching and you're drilling. The experience was just breathtaking. Even the idea of folding a tent. These guys, I mean, they had an initiative like you wouldn't believe. So to stand up against the British and the Hessians, trained soldiers to defend our nation and build it was a feat in itself. You know, and also what I really enjoyed about it was a mixed regiment, and it was the first mixed regiment of the times in was 1778. So I got a chance to almost experience that same experience with them, and it's exhilarating. They know more about history than a lot of PhDs.
I could tell you that I didn't know about the Battle of Rhode Island until I joined DAR 15 years ago, and we had our annual Battle of Rhode Island meeting, and I was just so floored and kind of upset that it's not shared more. So this gives us an opportunity to make sure that people know about this historic battle. We consider it a loss, but really it wasn't, because we held off the Hessians and made it safe for Boston. But I'm definitely, so I'm representing Bristol chapter, so I'm going to jump over to this. So you are actually going to be placing 2 more medallions, and 2 of them are going to be in Bristol, including Linden Place and DeWolf Tavern.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about the significance of those locations?
Well, first of all, DeWolf Tavern and James DeWolf was the most notorious slave trader we have. And right there, the building where they stored slaves is still there. So we're placing the medallion there, and it's a restaurant now. And inside the restaurant, they have a memorial to the slave trade. And what I enjoy about it is they're not afraid or ashamed of their history. They're honoring their history, as I do with medallions. So, and Linden Place, oh, it's a fabulous facility built by the DeWolf family, and we go there and celebrate history. It's a wedding facility now. People go there for their weddings, not because, ooh, it's DeWolf. It's like, wow, let's have our wedding in the house of James DeWolf. It's fabulous. When you celebrate your history, you're celebrating yourself.
I totally agree. I think the way that you approach talking about history is really, very positive and celebrating and, discussing things in a proud way. You're focusing on your ancestors. And I'm also really proud of my ancestors, and Diamond is. Diamond has some other questions as well.
Yes, I'm definitely proud of our ancestors. Yeah, previously mentioned when I was talking to you the other day that your uncle is Paul Gaines. I just want to know what have you taken from him to carry on his legacy? How has he inspired you?
Well, no, that's a very good question, because that's really a question about a legacy. And I get a little choked up when I think of him, because he just passed. But since the age of 5, he would take me out to Patriots Park and talk about Bloody Run. And, and you're a little kid, you're saying, oh my God, it's Sunday. I just want to play, and he would show me this rock. And he said, this is a rock where African Americans and Indians and white kids that, were not rich, colonial kids, stood together and fought off the Hessians. And I said, what are those? And they said, this is the German elite army, and that attacked them 3 times, and he pushed them back. So much so that the actual general for the Hessians wouldn't come back to New England, because it was embarrassing for him to have his elite squad of soldiers be beaten by what he would consider a ragtag group of Americans. So he taught he showed me that, and because of it is why I do what I do, why I placed my first medallion at Patriots Park, because that is the battle that is integral to our unity as a people.
Oh, that's so beautiful. You mentioned you have a video. Do we have that video of him?
Yes, I do. Yes, Ben, and it's the last video on the screen. It's the last. His Honor Paul Gaines, my uncle, who it's because of him that I've been actually inspired to do this. I mean, ever since I've known him, we started. Remember, this was a rock in the back here, and now look at it. So it took, what, 15 years?
Well, 10 years to get it built, but longer than that, Charles. Yeah?
So I'm just proud to be here with him now. So
listening to say the talk that the gentleman gave was exactly the reason for having a stone here, to give the history of Black Americans, African Americans, Native Americans in this community. And that's exactly what we talked about. He traced his history of his family. Think how many others up here could trace their possible history once they find out what this stone here, this monument is all about. And that's what we aimed, that's what we thought we wanted to do.
Yeah, that was my uncle Paul Gaines. He just passed, and he was one of those uncles that would, be at all your football games and basketball games, regardless. He was family, and he was the patriarch of our family. And now that he's gone, I guess maybe that's my position. But as you can see, what you guys are about tracing your history and celebrating it. That's what he built that place for. I mean, maybe Ben could show you what a picture of what it looks like. It's a wall, and on that wall are all the names of all the people that fought at the Battle of Rhode.
That was beautiful to watch. I recently went through a loss as well, and I can tell you that people like your uncle Paul are never truly gone. They definitely lived through all the hard work that the people that influence, that he influenced. And so I'm so glad. I kind of feel like I know Paul through you. Diamond, can you, Ben is going to post a question. Can you read it? I'm staring at a monitor right now, and it's really far away, and I can't read it.
So where will the rest of the tiles go across the state?
What?
So the question is, where will the rest of the tiles and the slave medallions go across the state?
Oh, well, we've got 25 locations. The next one that we're doing is at Smith Castle. That's on October 10th. And that's a very significant place because South County is where there were the plantations, and the Indian history is there. They have at Smith Castle, they have an actual building that you can tour, and at the top of the building is actual slave quarters, and they've reproduced it. And the place itself is so beautiful. I mean, it's by water that it takes you back in time. So we're so proud to be able to be working with Smith Castle and Robert Keek, who's a historian who wrote the book about the Battle of Rhode Island, that we're glad to place one there. Then we have other locations are in Newport. We have the Colony House, the Walton Lyman Hazard House, the Friends Meeting House. These are all locations that are significant to the history in Rhode Island. We also have the other location is the John Stevens House, where John Stevens is this shop is so amazing to me. I get emotional about this stuff, so excuse me. But this shop is owned by a friend of mine, Nick Benson. Nick Benson carved the lettering for the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. He's an old friend, and he carved the lettering for the medallion. He designed it, and Allison Newsom carved it. And he is, this is where Pompey Stevens, the person that actually carved the stone that I kind of copied, the winged angel, for his brother Cuffy Stevens. He was the slave of William Stevens of the John Stevens shop, one of the sons, because this has gone on for generations, and they're still doing carving there. And but anyway, that's where we got the particular medallion. Pompey Stevens was their slave, and he carved all of those angels images you see all over the state of Rhode Island, hundreds of them. But he carved one for his brother, Cuffy. And the one he carved, he signed. And by signing that image, he let us know now that those stones were carved by a slave. It was carved by a slave for a slave. And that's what the significance of the angel image that you see at the top of the medallion. And you can see the lettering that was helped designed by Nick Benson. See, everyone that's involved in this history today, like yourselves, is because they kind of know themselves and they know their history and they want to know more. And it's because of that, history becomes living history. So, I thank you guys even for inviting me to talk about this and share my studies with you.
We are so glad you're here. Before we move on to another topic, because
thank you for that, Diamond.
Yeah. Does Diamond have any more questions? Because then I'm going to introduce the fact that not only is Charles a reenactor, really prolific with historic preservation, but he's also a feminist. So I just adore you so much, Charles.
Oh, wow.
Any more questions?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you about this. The as I said, the reenactors that I work with are so prolific in their knowledge of history that they live it. They're living history. And one of the times that we were camping, we were in Bristol at Lafayette's headquarters, and this woman told me her story about what it was like to be part of Washington's army. So I videotaped it, and I'd like to share it with you, Jacqueline.
Anybody else wants it? Do
you want some cider?
I'll finish the bit and we'll get you out.
So I'm a camp follower. My husband was a tinsmith in our town, but we didn't own any property. So when he decided to join the army, I had to. I went with him because otherwise I would have no means of support. I travel with the quartermaster and the baggage and get quarter rations, but I sometimes try to supplement that as a laundress, doing sewing for the officers or for the enlisted men. So that helps them also. But if God forbid my husband should die in battle, I would have to find another husband within a couple of weeks or else leave the army, because General Washington doesn't allow unaccompanied camp followers to stay with the army.
Isn't that fabulous? I mean, that you just experienced what it was like to be in 1778 and be a woman that supported the army. And my mother has been my supporter. My wife is my supporter. Without the women of the world, there wouldn't be any children, first of all, and there wouldn't be any world. And second of all, that's one of the reasons that I feel very humbled by this presentation of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and that you even asked me. So I've never shown this video to anyone. This is part of our education program a collection of reenactors telling their stories about their just loading muskets and life as a revolutionary person. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and there it is.
And you mentioned that this is the first time anyone got to see that, and we appreciate that. And I loved that you called 2020 the year of the woman. It's our 100th anniversary of women's suffrage this year, and we wish that we could have had some more meetings, but we're happy to be celebrating the sacrifices of the soldiers, the patriots of the Battle of Rhode Island. So at least we're doing something that we're really passionate about. At this point, I would like to invite Bristol Chapter Regent, Lynn Lucky, back on because she has a special presentation. And you could take me and Diamond out for a moment.
Hi.
Hey,
Can
Lynn.
you hear me, Charles?
Sure,
Because I
Lynn.
can't hear you people anymore. I lost you along the way. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
I can hear you.
Oh, can you? Okay. As
I'll
Regent
wave
of the
so you
Bristol
know.
chapter, I'd like to present you with the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution Bristol chapter certificate of appreciation for Charles Roberts for historic preservation. And I'll see that you get that.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
and I thank you so much. And that's for all your placing medallions throughout the Rhode Island. We really appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the support of, I guess there's 200 ladies out there.
Okay, I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
So I'm always glad about something like that. So I deeply appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Okay, and now we have a few videos from Rhode Island Patriot descendants, and we're going to start with Joyce Stevos, who is a member of...
Oh, Joyce.
Yeah, oh yeah, she mentioned she knows you, and she sends her regards and congratulations as well. Ben, can you play Joyce's video commemorating her ancestor, who was a...
I'm Joyce Stevos, a member of the Narragansett Cook Gaspee chapter. My ancestor is Philip Rodman, also known as Philip Walmsley. He served in the Revolution under Colonel Christopher Lippett from Rhode Island. And he served in that regiment for about a year, from October 1776 until November 1777. He was at the Battle of White Plains, Trenton, and Princeton. He's described as being 5'7" and being a mulatto, and he had a scar on his forehead, and he had long black hair that was tied in behind. And while he was in the service, he took care of George Washington's wig. So he was a hairdresser.
Wow. As I've known Joyce all these years, and she never told me that story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we're so happy. Diamond is going to introduce the next video. She is going, not Diamond, but the next video is going to be of someone celebrating her 70th birthday soon. So happy birthday, Chapter Regent Mom.
Yeah, so the next video is my mom, Deborah Bush, and she's a member of Rhode Island Independence Chapter.
My name is Deborah Bush, and I'm a descendant of Michael Anthony, who was a private in the 1st Rhode Island Regiment and fought in the Battle of Rhode Island. I am also a descendant of Mingo Pollock, who served in the Connecticut Regiment. I'm grateful that this commemoration and events like this are held annually to recognize those brave patriots. Thanks to my daughter Diamond and her research, I discovered those ancestors. Learning that I had a Revolution ancestor made me proud and gave me a sense of belonging, especially here in Rhode Island. It's great to be able to learn more about them and their impact in the Revolutionary War. I'm blessed to be able to carry on their legacy as a member of the Rhode Island Independence chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Oh, wow. Diamond.
That was great. And
Thank you, Diamond.
we
Thank
have
you.
one more video. I'm going to introduce my personal friend, Madam Chapter Regent Diamond Bush of the Rhode Island Independence Chapter.
Hello, my name is Diamond Bush, and I'm the regent of the Rhode Island Independence Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. I descend from Michael Anthony, who was a private in the 1st Rhode Island Regiment. I don't know much about his service, but he was enlisted in February 1777, and he served for the duration of the war. He was in Captain Stephen Onley's company, and he later married Margaret Perry, a Narragansett Indian in Charlestown, Rhode Island in 1788. They had about 15 children, and I descend from their son, Elisha Anthony, who lived in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. Michael Anthony moved around a lot, and he died in Smithfield, Rhode Island in 1813. I also descend from Mingo Pollock, who was a Black patriot, and he fought in Connecticut for Connecticut. Michael Anthony is listed on the Monument and Patriots Park in Portsmouth, and I'm grateful for this park and for events like this to ensure that his service and the service of his other patriots are never forgotten. The DAR calls patriots of color forgotten patriots, but thanks to these events and that monument, those patriots will never be forgotten.
Oh, Diamond, wow. My uncle was talking to you. Oh, well, your family. Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Well, as we said, people like Paul live on through people like us. So anything that we can do to honor our ancestors and our family members' legacy, we are more than happy to. Does anyone have anything left to say? We are right on schedule for concluding this meeting.
I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Charles, for all your research and your work. It's been really amazing to ensure that people is successful. This history is accessible to people.
Well, thank you, Diamond, and thank you, Jacqueline, because you know, you've just now given me more hope and more inspiration to go on and search deeper, just because that you're out there. Because that's what this is. That's what I did this for. And Jacqueline, you know, you're so enterprising that I appreciate so much that you invited me to be a part of this, the Battle of Rhode Island, the first battle for independence. So I thank you for that.
Oh, I'm so glad that you were able to join me. I know our chapter was looking forward to this event, as we do every year, and both of you made it happen. There was a lot of texting and emailing and phone calls to make sure it all came together. This time, I really just want to give a special thank you to, of course, Charles and Rhode Island Independence Chapter, and my friend who's producing this for us, Ben Barber. You could come on and visit if you want. Is he not gonna want to visit?
I'm literally in my car right now because it's pouring out, and I couldn't figure out what key worked right. So anyway, Charles, you're amazing as always.
Thanks, buddy. Good to see you again.
You too, Charles.
Amazing. You're doing this from the car?
I'm doing, yeah, and it's pouring out.
So wow, that's quite a feat right there. A wonderful transition, and I know how much that Dan McKee he really appreciates you. So I just want to.
I appreciate him too, and I appreciate you guys. And Diamond, that was wonderful and so beautiful. And Lynn and Ron, everybody just did a wonderful job, and obviously Jeff.
Let's bring them back on and continue our thank yous. Thank you, Ron, for joining us and bringing greetings. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee. Thank you, Lynn, for helping us continue our chapter tradition. So at this time, I'm going to have Lynn conclude our meeting, and we will be in touch about maybe some Zoom things in the future. Okay, Ben, can you just bring Lynn on to conclude our meeting?
Well,
Jackie, she can't hear us, so could you just?
I just got you, Ben. I'm sorry. What did she say?
Okay.
I'm just going to conclude the meeting.
Going again.
So for the power invested in me by being a vice chapter regent of Bristol chapter, I'm going to conclude this meeting and thank you all so much for joining us. And if anyone has any ideas for how we can continue to commemorate the Battle of Rhode Island today, just send me an email or text me. Thanks, Ben. You can close it out.